packed. Crack open your favorite brew, pour it into a frosty mug.
Hey, join us for the next hour or so.
I'm Keith Davidson.
And I'm Papa Joey Stay.
And we're your hosts for The Truth About Beer and...
Yeah, we're a podcast and YouTube channel where we get to talk about all the crap that we're interested in.
And best of all, you get to do it while sharing a brew amongst friends.
Yes, and we're so excited about today's episode.
Yes, we are. We really hope you enjoy it.
Cheers!
Cheers! Hello, everyone, and welcome to Episode 6, Paranormal Adventure 1.1.
This adventure takes us to Acadia Ranch in Oracle, Arizona. The ranch was built to be a cattle farm in 1882 by Edwin and Lillian Dodge.
The home became more of a sanatorium for tuberculosis patients looking to escape from the heat in the valleys to treat the disease.
Since the days of the sanatorium, there had been many deaths at the facility. Because of the lack of room, some say the bodies were piled outside on the patio.
In a room not too far from the front entry, many of the bodies were kept in a room which became known as the morgue.
It is said the facility is very haunted. Reports of disembodied voices can be heard, as well as slamming doors and other strange knocking sounds.
Employees have also reported heavy footsteps on the hallway on the wood floor. It is said a nurse still walks the floors attending to her patients.
An occasional coughing sound that's heard is said to be a TB patient named George, who still haunts the ranch.
Well, get ready to see what we discovered.
What do we know about this?
Well, I know they're in...
Just that it's tasty?
Yeah, it's very tasty.
It tastes good.
I know they're in Colorado.
Are they? That's right, because they're... what's the name of the brewery?
Well, it's New Belgium.
New Belgium. Yeah.
Yeah. Atomic Pumpkin. We discovered it last year. And
ran out of it within 2 weeks of it being on the market.
Yeah, and that was the end of it, too, because it is just limited.
I don't know about this year, though, because my fries...
I'll have to go check my fries again. Okay, because, I checked mine and it was out. And that was last Sunday, so that was a week ago. They could have got a new shipment.
Yeah, I went yesterday morning, and they still had, on their aisle, they still had about 5 cases left. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Of course, I bought a case, but...
Yeah. it's really good stuff.
It's really good.
So, we'll have to show you a little bit about New Belgium.
And this is, I think, my favorite
pumpkin one.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm disappointed when this goes away.
I know it. It'd be nice if this would last through the holidays.
Well, it's funny. I went to Safeway about a month ago, and I said, "Hey, are you guys going to get in the Voodoo Atomic Pumpkin?" And the girl who does the order, she was a sweetheart, but she's like, "I never heard of that." Because it sounds really good. I saw it's delicious. I said, you have to get some in if you haven't got any in. So then like 2 days later, I go to Fry's and I saw it. And I was
there
like,
it was. I'm in heaven.
Where's our... No, not that one.
You want the...
Who's the other one?
Oh, no. Well, no. There we go.
Yeah. I was thinking of the wind chime one.
Oh.
I like that one. I think it was that one. This one? Nope.
No. There we go. When do you bring that up? Yeah, so you can say, yes, I walked into Fry's and there it was. Atomic Pumpkin. Yes.
Thank you. Need to put little stickers on there that say what's what, like little labels.
Yeah, because soon we'll get into a coma.
That's right.
Oh, am I on the air? Sorry.
Is this thing on? Turn it on.
Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. Oh yes, it's on. We're back again. Isn't that funny? Yeah, I know. Yeah, keep it up. Thanks. Yeah. Stop it.
Thank you. Simmer down now. Oh man. That's good.
Oh, yeah. You know what? We just had the opportunity to work with our good friends again at AZ Paranormal and Research Society.
Mm-hmm.
And Where was it we went, Keith?
Acadia Ranch. In Oracle, Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, we worked with Vinny and his crew,
Which was very cool.
It was a lot of fun.
And Arcadia Ranch.
Acadia Ranch.
Acadia.
I always want to say
put that
Arcadia. I don't know why, but it's just one of those things.
Acadia.
Acadia.
Yes. I heard on another podcast or YouTube thing I was watching, they were exploring another hospital, sanatorium that was a tuberculosis place, you know.
Where was that one?
This one was in Greece, but it was like high up in the mountains in Greece, and that was because back in the early 1900s, and you know, during that time when the tuberculosis was really a crisis, and a lot of people were suffering from it. They had this misconception that moving their patients to higher elevations where the air was a little cleaner or clearer
would cure it.
Would cure it, you know, but they were dead wrong.
Literally.
Yeah. So it's the same thing there at Acadia, you know.
I thought you were going to, because I know Greece has a lot of mountains that overlook the ocean. I thought maybe when they were getting ready to die, they just throw them off a cliff or something. I was sure that's what you were saying.
This was way up there, and the cliff was like about 1,000 feet up.
That would do it.
Yeah.
That would
take
your
care of
problem.
them for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Wouldn't have to just stack them up on the porch, you know, throw them over the cliff.
Yeah, that would. Well, it's funny. I took a trip to several years ago. I went to Nashville, and we went to Franklin, Tennessee, which is where one of the sites of the Civil War. And then we went into one of the plantation houses, and they talked about kind of similar to what we experienced in Oracle, but when the wounded soldiers were coming to get treated, triaged, and everything, they would talk about when they had to do the amputations that limbs would be piled up outside the window. Like on the second floor, you can almost see the pile from that. Yeah. It was that high, and that crazy. It was crazy. It was a lot like Oracle, where they pile the bodies out on the patio there.
Yeah, there was a Ghost Adventures I watched, and it may have been there in Tennessee, and it was at from one of the battlefields, Civil War, that it was on the second floor where the doctor did the amputations, and just threw them out the window.
That's the same.
Okay.
It was probably Franklin then. It was probably the same.
Probably
same place
so.
that I went to. Yeah, yeah. It was creepy. Well, and especially too because now it's a museum. So when you go upstairs on the second floor and you go into one of the bedrooms, there's actually blood stains because it was wood floor back then. So there's actually blood still on the wood, and it was kind of creepy seeing that. You know,
that's some stored energy there, huh?
Big time. Should we take a trip there? That'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be kind of fun.
I'd like that.
See if we can get Vinny to go with us.
Bring the whole crew.
Speaking of the crew, we had the pleasure of meeting their Tucson chapter.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So here's a little bit about them.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name's Wendy. I'm from Tucson, Arizona. I'm a grandmother. Been investigating, 4 or 5 years. Met these great guys. Love them. They're awesome people. We just go around investigating cool places and.
Has there been an event in your life that's kind of sparked your interest in paranormal?
Yeah, actually, when I was younger, I used to goof around with a Ouija board, and it was our cousin's Ouija board. And long story short, we were young kids, whatever, and it was their Ouija board. They made me mad, made me and my other 2 sisters mad. So to get even with them, we decided we'd go get it and just scratch it all up, dump it in a little lake, and there was our revenge to get back to them for being so, just how kids were. After all that happened, it was probably not even a few weeks later, we started getting shadow people knocking at the doors. We'd be floating lights outside the windows. Just a lot of crazy stuff.
It opened up a portal, huh?
It opened up something, yeah. So that was when I was younger. As I got older and my mom passed away, that kind of made me like want to know a little more about afterlife. You know, what happens. That's pretty much what got me going. This is something that I love. I mean, I could be like everybody's ready to leave. I could still be here for the rest of the night. I could do this like 24/7.
Since you started investigating, has there been an experience you've had that's been a little more definitive?
There's been quite a few things. I mean, just from our equipment and things that we get on it, like the SLS, things like that. But probably the coolest thing that happened recently with me was at a hotel, and I was coming actually out of the restroom. There was a hallway. A couple of the guys and my boyfriend Darren and a couple other people were at the end of the hallway, and there was only one way from the bathroom to go back into the main area, and it was a hallway. And I did see a lady in a red dress. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. She just didn't look like at this time, you know, she was from a different time. And when I went around down the hallway to the other two people that were at the end of the hallway with my boyfriend, I'm like, hey, there's a lady in a red dress. Did you guys see her? Because when I saw her, it just didn't seem right. It seemed like she was different. And when I went down the hallway, and they're like, no, there's nobody here in a red dress. What are you talking about? You know, like, I swear, there was a lady in a red dress. She looked over at me, and she turned her head back down the hallway and walked on. And that was kind of cool. That was really cool. That was like real cool.
Tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Darren, originally from Denver, Colorado, and just got into this stuff, like she said, with her, and just been interested in it ever since.
Yeah, did you have any kind of event in your life that kind of sparked any interest?
Not really, no.
Her name is Wendy.
Yeah, besides Wendy,
She
she got me into it more than anything, than just met up with these guys and been going at it ever since.
Well, what experiences have you had that kind of raised the hair on your arm? Or,
For me, there was the Phelps Dodge Hospital. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and we got a figure in the nursery room, like on the SLS, like either playing with a yo-yo or paddleball. And I was right next to it, and we were getting K2 hits, and and they was making sense with what we were asking it, and it was doing the K2 and the SLS at the same times. And then right after that session, I was totally drained of energy. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't drive home or anything. So that was interesting. Just used all my energy. So it was pretty.
Leave an impression.
Yeah, it was quite. And I got that same sensation at the Grand Hotel in Jerome. Just
Place I would love to go.
Same kind of thing. Just totally drained of energy. When we stayed in the psych ward room there, and that was, we got a lot of stuff there too, but we were still beginning. So.
What was your name?
Angel.
Angel.
I'm here with Karen, who's part of the team. I work with her.
Okay,
And-
so you're from the Phoenix area.
Yes.
Okay.
And when I found out she was an investigator, I thought, ooh, that's cool. And this is an opportunity for me to go, so it was my first one.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
So was there something that happened in your life that got you interested in paranormal?
No, I used to just watch shows and stuff like that, but I'm into stuff like that. So forensic files, but ghost hunters. So no, nothing really. Just
Well, this is your
Answers.
first time, so I guess. So did you have anything happen tonight? That
we heard some stuff
yeah.
on the spirit box.
Well, yeah, because yours still
and
has
the
the
EVP recording.
And we don't have those.
Nothing
in our
really
case. We have
moving
DVDs 'cause they take up less
that I've seen.
We all come in skeptics, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, just curious.
Well, I hope you keep it up.
Yeah. I'd like to
You
go a
wear one
couple
of these
more.
black shirts next time we see you.
Possibly. Who knows?
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And we're back. Gosh, that didn't take long at all. I know.
All right. That's enough. We're good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, the nice thing is it's separate tracks.
Oh, does it? That's good. That's good.
So if we push the wrong button, and we don't want people to hear it.
We just cut it out.
Yeah.
So tell us about your ghost adventure.
That's about right.
That's about right.
I got a nice stomach ache out of it while I was there. But it was real, you know. I mean, I felt fine driving up there, and pretty much the second we walked onto the territory, onto the grounds,
I was gonna say, yeah, you felt it instantly.
I was
were
like,
saying.
oh yeah,
It's kind of weird.
some crazy stuff here.
I was fine until I walked out on the patio and I went around that corner when it was dark, and something came over me when I walked around that corner. I was like, I need to leave.
Yeah, well, that was a strange place. We had a couple of things happen there. You know, well, Karen did. She was getting some big RF. That's EMF, you idiot. When we walked around, and she was there that one time. But then there was a group of us standing out there in that corner, and we kept hearing some grunts and whatever.
That one sounded like a growl. I don't know what it was, but that was weird.
It was a grunt or a growl, but you know, shine the lights down there, and
I saw nothing.
thought maybe there could be some javelina, but no, we didn't see anything.
It was something.
So was it paranormal? I don't think so, but who knows?
It could have been.
It could have been.
It could have been.
Yeah.
Because that's right where she was getting all the activity.
Yeah.
But there was also an electrical panel there too. So I don't know if that had
And
something
well,
to
she
do
got
with
up
it.
to the electrical panel where it would go off, and then she backed it off and set it where it wasn't
And it's
reading it,
still
and then it
went off?
was and that's when she was getting the kind of. I don't know if she was asking questions or whatever, but
That was after we walked to the shed, right?
Yeah.
We walked to the shed, and we came back, and she was standing there.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's what I thought.
yeah. Then we walked around, went in, and started our adventure.
Yeah. We actually, it was first for Vinny and his crew, but they actually tried an experiment that night. It was the first time they were ever doing this experiment. So we went into a room which was known as the ice room.
Yeah. If you ever watch any paranormal shows, you'll notice when they use a spirit box, it's that noisy thing that kind of runs through all the radio stations, just scans them, and with a little white noise, and you'll hear responses come through it. But they're usually having to cover it when they're asking questions so you can hear what they're asking.
Right.
And so Vinny had a cool idea.
It was, we used a walkie-talkie. He was in a different room, and whoever was doing the experiment at the time was in the room with the walkie-talkie, had the spirit box, and they had headphones on, so they couldn't hear the questions that were being asked, but they can hear what the response was through the spirit box. And then we had somebody else in the room with them to kind of document and record what they were hearing.
Yeah, and so
So
the idea was whoever had the headphones listening to the spirit box would just kind of repeat
right,
what
was said.
what it said.
Right.
And so you were in there with Lindsay
was in
on
the first one. I think we were the first two that went in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was interesting, because after Lindsay went, I put the headphones on too to see what I could hear. And Vince came in and he changed a setting, changed to a different channel. So the first time I did it, I heard you can hear all the AM stations, and I can hear like just blurbs.
Okay.
It wasn't just noise. So I can hear voices, but it was quick because it keeps was like one every second or something. It goes through,
Yeah,
or even
faster
maybe
than
half
that,
a second.
yeah.
Yeah, it just
Probably.
keeps rotating through. So anyway, he came back in and did a different setting on it, and all I heard was that just that noise that
the one you
you
usually
typically hear. Yeah. So I was kind of interested because I didn't hear anything. So the whole time I did it, and of course we're new to this, so I don't know what to listen for. Like Karen and Rebecca, they have a little bit more experience, so they know what to listen for. But I didn't hear anything out of the ordinary, and I was wondering if the two settings had something to do with it. But I tried it both ways, and I couldn't hear anything. But Lindsay did hear a couple of things.
Yeah,
So,
she heard a 5, was it?
It was 5, and then I think it was she heard, and it kind of correlated to the questions.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Yeah. And so we'll let you watch this, and you'll see that I followed Vinny out to the other room where he was going to be on the walkie-talkie and ask the questions. And then Keith's in the room with Lindsay. But what you'll see is things kind of started happening out where we were and not in where they were.
Right.
So
yeah, and I heard, you'll see in the video, but I started hearing what I thought was like a telephone going off outside. I was like, what is that noise going on? And I could hear it clear as day because I didn't have the headphones on. Lindsay didn't hear it, but so anyway, check out this video. You'll see what we discovered.
closing them in.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So, I'm sorry. I was going to document this, but let me turn this light up just a little bit. Okay.
So we're about to be locked in the ice room.
Yeah, so I'm locking in the ice room. Chill, bud.
Chill.
Chill.
Cheers.
I have my eyes closed, just so you know.
That's fine. I can see that.
Don't let me die. Can you see the light?
We were here many times. Do you remember any of our names?
I don't think you said the chair.
Were you a patient here?
That was strange when he said.
Do you know a nurse named Jean White? Do you know Dr. Joe Meyer? Metzger.
You're getting hit, Tommy.
I'm getting hit big time here.
Did you work here?
It's responding through mine over here. Yeah.
Do you know Edwin Dodge? Do you know Mrs. A. William Neal?
There's a bear out there?
Yes. The bear on the stove.
Do you know Mrs. Wilbur Winters?
Point one.
This is the bear?
Giving me the
That's the bear.
Are you male or are you a female?
Well, are you male? Stop. Are you a male? Are you a female? Are you none of the above?
Tell us what your name is. your favorite color?
Is it this can?
That's what I'm wondering.
I'm just going crazy for no reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, that one's going too.
That one was just going on.
Yeah.
Are there others like you here?
Is that a mail?
How many are here?
That's the mail over there.
So whenever I key this, it shuts that down.
Right.
It's the walkie.
What about the bear?
But the mail's not.
Can you tell us who they are?
Affecting this not either. I'm at a 0.2 right now, but I'm
I'm
at
at
0.
2.2 just now.
I'm at 0.
What are you doing here?
Yeah. Freaking me out, you.
Are you afraid of us? There is a box with a silver stick next to the person sitting in the chair. Can you touch it right now?
That's for the, yeah, this is set now. It has to be.
Gotta be.
But what about the bear?
The
Yeah,
bear is a
there's
different story.
way more interesting, so that's good.
Pretty, yeah.
What
Yeah,
billy
that's
box
not
are you
every
at?
time. Just be tough.
What billy box are you at?
I got up to a 0.2 was all.
Let's see what they have down there.
Yeah, the bear shouldn't do that though, right?
Here's the bear that kept going off every time you asked a question. Are you still here with us? We're gonna go get Keith and Lindsay out of the freezer.
Did you
Bright
hear
light.
anything?
So she got the number 5, and yeah.
5?
5.
Number
Did you
5.
actually hear my questions?
I
Oh,
couldn't.
yeah. I could.
Right, I didn't want you to
Yeah,
hear.
no.
I just wanted you to ramble.
I could if I didn't hold it. Like if I didn't hold it up, that's why I put my hands on it to make it tighter because I could hear you.
So what
I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to be hearing anyways.
Whatever's coming over, we
There's
just
a
want
whole
you
lot
to
of random
spiel.
shit.
Yeah, just Elizabeth.
There wasn't
Television.
there wasn't anything really that I could make out. There was a lot of like garble, but I don't know if it was.
You heard 5.
I heard 5
Yeah.
and yeah, like
Okay.
clear,
Was the
like
5
above
how many?
everything else.
When did she? Did she?
5 was very random.
But did she say 5 out loud? That-
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 No,
Was
I
that
said-
towards the end?
No, it was
No.
towards the
It
beginning.
was toward the beginning. The yeah was toward the end, but it didn't correlate to any question you asked.
Okay.
A lot of shit was going on in here.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah. There's a bear here, which I don't know why I was doing it. REM pods, they go off with fluorescent lights and they go off with walkies. But they go off, they don't shut off. So I was kind of like, all right, it's going backwards. I don't understand
Well, what was
why.
weird is that it must have been the bear, because every time you asked a question, it started going off. That's what I
Yeah,
heard.
that was the bear that was really
And
loud.
that
was
shouldn't
interesting.
really bother her, because then I just started keying it just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
And the REM unit was going off when I did that, but the bear wasn't going on.
Right.
So interesting. All right.
Yeah, I got legitimate chills out there.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we switch it up? And...
Gosh, we're back already.
we're back.
How did that happen?
Just kidding. Having fun with our new toys. So, you know.
Sorry. Yeah. Karen went in
Right.
after you guys.
Right.
Well, you were in there with Karen as well.
Yeah, I stayed in there with Karen. Yep, I was the one that filmed it.
And we didn't film Vince outside, so on this one you'll just hear you'll hear the questions that Vinny's asking because the walkie-talkie's in there live, and you'll hear it through what Keith was using to record.
Right. And I was really blown away by that session because I had just gotten done doing 3 sessions really, because Lindsay did the first one, then I did 2 in a row just to see if I was so desperate to hear something, wanted to hear something. It's like I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But when Karen came in, it was amazing because even before the questions started, she was hearing things. So,
yeah, it was pretty active.
Funny thing about that whole experiment, which I found interesting, and I'll bring this point up again later because it's kind of fascinating me. But when Karen was doing it, I don't think any of the activity was going on outside the room.
No, it wasn't.
It was all inside the room, which was pretty fascinating. So
I think I might know where you're going with that.
You think so?
Yeah,
you might.
Yeah,
could be.
Could be.
So check out Karen's experiment in the ice room.
We were here many times to remember any of our names.
One.
Like to try to communicate with you. You can use the device to communicate with the person sitting in the chair, which is right next to you.
Way up.
Were you a patient here?
A little.
You know a nurse named Jean White?
I think Robert.
Do you know Dr. Jeremiah Metzger? Did you work here?
Sure.
Do you know Edwin Dodge?
Of course.
Do you know Mrs. A. William Neal?
What's he saying? Ask.
Do you know Wilbur Winters? Mrs. Wilbur Winters? Are you a male? Are you a female?
Yeah. It's me.
What is your name?
Bill.
Do you know
Yes, I know.
George?
What?
Do you know Rory?
Who?
Do you know Holly?
Yeah, maybe.
Why do you visit the ranch?
You know it.
What is the name of the little girl who interacts with us?
Jen.
What is your favorite color?
Spider. Oh, God.
Are there others like you here?
Are you kidding?
How many are here?
7.
Can you tell us who they are?
Eat.
What are they doing here?
Indirect.
Are you afraid of us? We mean you no harm.
Yeah.
We have boxes by you with silver sticks. We appreciate you going by them so we know that you are here. They will not hurt you. Session over.
It's so cold. That ice room is just freezing. It was only about 104 in there.
Right.
But
There was no ice in there at all. So why did they call it the ice? Was that the kitchen storage back in the day? Or
yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, because there was a separate room that they called the morgue.
Yeah.
And there was then the ice room. And you would think that, logically thinking, you'd store bodies where it's cold, but I guess not. I guess
But it was off of the kitchen.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So
Yeah.
it could have been the room where they maybe stored big blocks of ice and then kept the perishable stuff in there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a guess, of course.
Oh, we're hoping they didn't keep the bodies with the stakes. I mean, that wouldn't be wouldn't be very good.
That's what they were hearing in there. It was the poor butchered cows that.
They wonder why they couldn't cure tuberculosis. Just throw our bodies with the stake. That's not good.
Yeah, that was one of the things. I think remember Vinny telling us some of the experiences people have in that ice room is they'll hear actually Native American chanting
right,
and stuff like that, because it is an area, where, of course, the whole United States was why they're Native Americans.
But I noticed that it's now a museum, so you can go look at the different artifacts from around the area. And a lot of it's Native American artifacts that they have. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, and they do offer tours there. Mm-hmm. And it's run by the
Historical Society.
Historical Society.
Oracle Historical.
It's easy for you to say.
Say that 10 times over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I had an opportunity, which we didn't document or film or anything, with the spirit box. And I had the headphones on, and you were asking questions, weren't you? You were Lindsay?
No, maybe it was Lindsay. Might have been Lindsay asking questions.
And I'm trying to think. There were I heard quite a few things come through that I rattled off, and darn it, now I don't remember what it was, but I'd laughed about something I heard, and then you asked me.
Lindsay and I were both in the room.
Yeah,
with you.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, you said emoji. It said emoji.
That's right, emoji. And then, but
emoji.
I'd just shown you guys the new emoji that I had done on my phone.
That's right. You did. Yeah. That was trippy.
And so then I heard that come through.
Okay, so you actually heard some things come through over the noise. So what? I mean, from my knowledge, what does it sound? How do you identify? Because all I heard was the AM voices. That's all I heard. I didn't hear anything come out and stand out above that.
What I found was there was one voice that was consistent. That was kind of a cool effect there too.
Almost like a bass string.
Yeah, I just kind of locked onto that one voice, and so I was kind of staying in concentrating mode
on that voice.
And
so that same voice would come through each time. So you were connecting with the same spirit or entity as you were.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I know I don't remember everything. I really wish we could have documented it. I just heard the emoji thing, but yeah, there were some numbers and
did I not have the IR camera going? We have to see if we have footage from that, because I thought I had the IR camera going.
Well, that'd be interesting.
I'm almost positive we documented everything. I don't think there's anything that.
Yeah, I know my digital recorder
EVP
had ran out of space. Needed a new card. Yeah. So we weren't able to get too many EVPs.
But the speaking of the morgue, going back to the morgue, they so Vinny and his crew document stuff separately from us. So he shared a video that they did on their own up in the morgue area, and they got some interesting results from it, I have to say.
Yes, they did.
So they had one of the first things you'll hear on the video is a disembodied voice saying, "No, I can't," which you and I listened to it a few times, and we can hear the no clear as can be, but we can't necessarily make out the I can't. And then there was footsteps. We heard some footsteps shuffling. Now, keep in mind, this is a room. We were all in a back room, probably maybe 100 feet away, 150 feet away from where that room was, where the morgue was. So they had a camera rolling with a microphone, and that was the only thing that was in that room. Mm-hmm. So I heard the footsteps, the shuffling, and then there was whistling. And then out of nowhere, this voice comes out and says, "Yes." And that's clear as day. You can hear that.
That's kind of a female voice.
It was a female voice. Yep. Yeah, it was. And they say in that building that there's a nurse that still
walks the halls, checks on her patients,
tends to her patients.
That's
so
pretty wild.
So so check this video out. It's pretty cool. You'll see some of the results that they got.
There's a device here. You can come over. You're familiar, all right? Silver stick. You've done this before. We have friends here. We want you to interact with, get to know. Very nice people. I think you're gonna like them a lot. But we need you to interact. Come on with me next door.
And we're back. That was quick.
Man, this beer's lasting a long
I
time.
really, I'm telling you. It's getting kind of warm now, though. I think I get another one.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, one of my favorite tools, and the first time I saw it on Ghost Adventures was like, man, I got to get one of those, is the SLS camera.
That's
And
a lot of fun.
yeah. And now I kind of understand where that came from, you know, how that came about. And I'll go back a generation before the device that they use, which, you know, like when the Wii came out, you had that cool handheld thing, so
Right.
you could use that. And then the sensor bar that you set underneath the TV or above the TV, however you set it up, you know, would track your motions so that you could do cool things, golf, play tennis, box, and all that. Well, then, gosh, that PlayStation came out with the Kinect.
Was it Connect or Move? Was the PlayStation Move? I thought
maybe
I
the
thought
Move was
Xbox
first?
had the Connect. I think Xbox,
Oh, it is Xbox.
Yeah, Xbox had the Connect, and
Yeah.
then PlayStation has the Move
That's
camera.
right. So so it's actually the the Xbox.
Xbox.
Yeah, with the Kinect.
Yeah.
And so, my brother had got that for his kids, and so Shaylin, my granddaughter, reminded me of this that they used to turn it. I don't know what they did, but they could watch themselves on the TV as stick figures.
Really?
Yeah, with it, and once in a while, they would get a Phantom stick figure in there with them, but then they've always had activity at their house in weird ways. You
Right.
know, they one experience that they had in that house was they had the bread up in their cupboard, you know, behind a door, so it's in the cupboard. The door blew open and the bread flew out on the floor. I mean, from the bag, not the whole bag of bread.
The bread itself?
The bag opened up and bread flew out.
Wow.
Onto the floor. And so, you know, there was things that went on there, but I didn't know that Kinect is what turned into the SLS camera.
That's interesting.
And so yeah, they took that technology because they saw that it picked up anomalies of, you know, it picked up real people, but then it did pick up other things. And so they fashioned it to where they hook it up to like an iPad, but it's has to be a Windows-based tablet, and then they can.
So how does it? I'm curious now because you say that because I have the PlayStation Move. I have the Move camera. So how do you get it to show you as a stick figure? How does that do that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's a. I know there's some software you have to download onto the Windows pad.
But they got it just playing the Xbox.
But yeah, that's true. They got it just playing it
that's what's trippy. Because all I do is stare at the damn thing when I'm trying to do that. Because I got the VR, the PlayStation VR, so I just stare at it, you know. But that's pretty cool that you can have it turn. I wonder how they do. I'd like to know if any of you guys know how they do that. Please email us.
Yeah.
Let us know. I'm curious.
Well, I want to build one.
You want to build one?
I do.
I think we should do that.
I think it'd be cool.
We could borrow my camera.
All
I
right.
got the PlayStation camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just need a Windows tablet. You have a Windows tablet?
I don't.
Just have iPads. So,
Well, they said for about $80 or so.
Yeah.
Because you can get the Connect bar on eBay for like $20.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, they're not very expensive anymore.
Yeah.
They were when they first came out. The whole kit was a couple $100, I think. To
Yeah.
get the whole kit. But yeah, you can get them cheaper now.
Yeah. So you just get that, and then find a used Windows tablet.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And I guess there's some cabling that's the tricky part.
Right.
Because you want to go wireless or, off a battery, I should say.
Yeah. That shouldn't be too hard to do because you just figure out where the power supply is from there and just put it to a battery. Yeah, that would work. Might have to be another. Wouldn't that be a great episode? We're building an SLS camera. There you go.
That would be
This is episode 13. I'm getting a little ahead of myself there, but
So, but we do have a lot of videos coming up using that SLS camera.
yeah.
So, what was the first one?
As a matter of fact, it was actually Lindsay that we did one of the first ones. She was in the morgue, actually. She was in that room, and she was just sitting there by herself. And I think it was Wendy had the SLS camera, and she was sitting on the floor, Indian style. And then all of a sudden, here comes that stick figure, that entity, and actually had some good open communication with her too.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think we don't really need to talk about this one
No.
because it's pretty.
It's pretty
see what
evident.
happens.
Yeah. Check it out. Here it is.
Look at it. The
We're
legs
trying,
crossed,
we're
huh?
trying to sit down. And we've
And
got
it left. Can you come back? Can you come back?
You don't have to sit on the floor.
You don't have to sit on the floor anymore. She'll let you stand.
Somebody want to go in there? So we'll stand by you. That helps you too.
You come stand by me.
Go stand by her. Can you come back now? Is somebody in there with you?
I'm standing here with you. You want me to sit on the floor with you?
It's back this round here.
Land the car while it's doing stuff like that.
You want me to sit on the floor?
Yeah, if you want to, yeah.
Here, I'll sit on the floor with you.
I don't like cell camera shots.
That looks totally weird.
Do I look totally weird? How do I look crossed up?
Come on, go in there and sit by her.
Come sit
Are
by
you
me.
double jointed?
Chair right here. You come sit right here next to me.
Right.
Come on, come back. We were about to leave.
I'll share a drink with you. I'll leave my beer right there.
tease.
Come have a drink of my beer.
Unless they're not 21.
He's like, that's not the good part.
I'm 104.
Then you deserve a drink.
You want to go over there and have a drink? Are you of age?
It's true. It's one of the babies I probably shouldn't let you have any.
Come on, come back. There you are. Hi. Hello. Look at it.
It's
Can
exercising.
you go sit by her?
No, it stopped.
Go make your move.
Raise up one of your arms.
Lindsay, put out your hands.
Yeah. It's on
Other,
the other
other
side.
hand.
On the other side of it, over there.
Can you touch Lindsay's hands? She won't hurt you.
Very nice. I'm studying to be a nurse. I want to help people.
Go over there by her.
Kind of shy.
Maybe she can help you. Are you safe?
Waving.
Hi, we see you. Can you stand up?
Or you say, pick me, pick me.
Can you stand up? Go ahead.
Is he sitting?
It looks like he's sitting.
Yeah.
Here.
Playing John Travolta.
hold my hand?
Go ahead.
Trying to.
Stretched out a leg to you.
Go ahead. Don't be scared. Don't be shy. It's okay. Oops, see that? Then it moved over and bounced back.
Yeah.
It's okay. Go on over there. Go over there and sit with her. Go ahead. Go over there and get that drink off the floor over there.
Here, you want me to put it closer to you?
Oh, you see that? You see that?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go for it. It's okay.
You better be recording this stuff.
Yes. It's,
You try to touch and go.
Yeah.
go on over there. It's okay. You gotta get off. You gotta get up though. There you go. Look at that.
You tried to touch me. I didn't feel you. I'm
Oh.
sorry.
Yeah.
That's coming over
He's
by
really
you.
trying.
Really trying.
It's like it's scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cowering.
Don't be scared. She's a nurse.
Don't be
Might be a little
scared.
kid.
Don't be scared. It's okay. We're not here to harm you at all. I promise.
She's really nice.
Go ahead.
You're reaching out to you.
There you go. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. It's okay. Keep going.
You could command them.
Yeah.
Like it's crawling. It's slowly crawling.
She's
over
going
there.
over to-
Oh, and it
Oh.
Gone.
Wasn't that cool?
That was pretty cool. That was, and that was our first experience with the SLS cameras too. I hadn't seen. I mean, we watched it on TV before, but to actually see it live happening, it was pretty cool. It's like I'm like, is there something in the room there with her? You can't, you know, it's just that person in the room. It was pretty weird. So I had an experience later on with it, but Rebecca had an experience in the same room I was in, the same room we were in.
And she
all three of us
she
were in.
was flying solo on that one.
Yep.
So
Yes.
so this is just Rebecca and her SLS camera, and it's a pretty cool video
It's a
too.
very cool video. Check it out.
Can you tell me your name? My name's Rebecca. Talking in the other room. Are you sitting on that chair? Can you wave? Did you have tuberculosis? Are you a patient here? Can you wave your arms so I know you're there? Can you tell me your name? Hello. Are you waving? Thank you. What is your name? Do you remember what my name is? Hmm?
So what do you think? Pretty cool, huh?
I thought it was awesome.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then you had an opportunity to interact with a stick figure that you couldn't see.
Couldn't see, but apparently it was standing on my head.
He was having fun up there.
I do have to say, and again, I'm very new to this. I know you've had experiences yourself, in the past, but I've never really had any experiences until we started doing this, which is kind of cool. But you don't feel anything until somebody tells you, hey, there's something standing behind you right now. And then there's this feeling that comes over you. I don't know if it's fear or it's just like, maybe it's just adrenaline because you know something's there. Mm-hmm. And then when you said it's on your head,
from the angle I was looking at it while I was shooting the video.
Right.
And so I was kind of off on an angle to it. I mean, it looked like it was dancing on your head, but then when I go back and look at it, I can see that it's more off to the side, and it's still above your head.
Well, was it? That was my question. Was it standing behind me? Because I was sitting in a chair,
and there was room behind you.
There was a good space between the chair and the window that was there. So I was trying to get it to sit in the chair next to me, but it wasn't cooperating. Apparently, it wanted to give me a neck massage or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
and when we asked you to stand up, it
was gone.
Yeah, well, you'll see that
just real quick. So check out my experience here at the SLS camera. Pretty cool.
So we're going into patient room where we got some activity in the SLS earlier. We saw somebody sitting in that chair.
And they waved back at us.
They waved back, so I'm going to sit in the chair and see if we can engage them.
Yes, and so Lindsay's got the SLS.
So you can see Keith staring there. So you can see Keith.
There's Keith.
So it's going to look like that.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah. So let's go see if we can get something. So we heard that you were here earlier. Can you come and sit in the chair again?
Oh, somebody's on your head. I'm not kidding.
Somebody's behind you, babe. Are you back in the corner? Are you standing on the shelf?
Yeah, kind of dancing.
Yeah.
You standing behind me?
He's kind of
Kind of
tall.
on above your head a little
Step
bit.
back.
Are you recording me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's standing behind you in the corner.
I in your seat.
I want to hear scoot.
See what happens if you get up. See if he takes the
Stand up. Oh, he's gone.
That's cool too. We'll do some beats here.
That was too quick.
Well, let's just talk about just paranormal and, is it real? I mean, how do you know what's a legit paranormal thing? I mean, it's all pretty much how you feel, really, when it comes down to it.
Well, it is a feeling. This is all so new to me too, because I've never done anything like this. Have you ever done anything like this?
No, I haven't. I've always
this...
wanted to.
Yeah.
So that's why when we decided to start doing this YouTube channel and podcast and stuff, and we really opened up the whole spectrum of things we could do with it, by just going with the truth about beer and
all the crap we want to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, because we always talked about ghost adventures and all that before we decided to do any of this stuff, because we were fascinated by.
Well, the paranormal aspect of this show has always been on our minds, because if you remember from episode 1, we talked about it. Then episode 2, it even came to light with Julia, and then episode 3 was our actual first paranormal adventure.
And a little update. Speaking of Julia and her creepy friend.
yes. So they've had some more activity. Maybe we can throw that video on here a little bit.
That'd be a sneak peek
that'd be
to that,
cool,
because that will be an episode that we'll probably be tackling
eventually.
Yeah.
I know. She definitely wants to get some answers as to what's going on, and hopefully Vinny and the crew can help out and give her some answers and maybe get some closure on stuff. But I got to admit, when I watched the video, I mean, there's a million ways you can explain what happened, but it was just, to me, just something seemed off. It didn't seem like it was
caused by
environmental.
There you go.
I mean, anybody can explain it by a fan, air conditioning, whatever. But it just the way the movement was, it just didn't seem natural to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe,
I think for me too, because you would think if it was the fan or something like that causing it, that it wouldn't just be taking place on the floor,
the bottom corner. Yeah.
It would be more things in there being affected by it.
Yeah.
But
it was just weird how that. So what we're talking about, just people are going, what the hell are they talking about?
I guess you could show it.
So we'll show it. But what happened was this particular person, I won't mention any names right now, just in case we decide not to do the episode. But what happened was they, as Julia said, they have a long history of the activity in their home. And they sent us a video of their closet, and there was a dressing in the closet, and just really the lower half of the dress started moving in weird ways. It was almost like something was pulling it, you know?
Yeah, it was more like bending.
Right.
You know, rather than a natural curve that you would see with something blowing on it. You know?
I almost want to do an experiment like that. I want to take a fan, put it on an article of clothing that's rather long, and see what the natural, you know, progression of it would be. Just because, like you said, it was more like shut the beer. So it's just the bottom corner that would almost like somebody was pulling on it or making it move, you know. So
yeah,
I might have to do that, do an experiment.
That would be fun.
I'd like to see that.
I like experiments.
I do. Maybe have an SLS camera with us just in case something happens. And
see if we see a little stick figure down there.
Yeah, we'll do it in somebody else's house, not mine.
Yeah, keep the activity away from here.
I don't want to know what's around, to be honest with you. So we do have plans some more episodes coming up for paranormal because especially we live in a state that's probably one of the most active when it comes to paranormal activity. You know, the history that's here. So I think we have a lot to cover.
Yeah. I mean, we have Tombstone here.
Tombstone would be a great one to do. That'd be a lot of fun. And Jerome's another hot spot.
Jerome's. Yeah, it's one of my favorite places just to go hang out because it's close to Sedona too. So
I'm sure Sedona's got its share. I mean, you think of the Native American aspect around Sedona, you know, and the
spirituality and all that.
Yeah.
Well, I know there's a lot of UFO kind of stuff that goes on up there, so they say.
Hint, hint.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never know.
So, what's your thoughts on paranormal and where you think these things or how these things happen or manifest themselves? Or what's the?
I really don't have a theory on it, but I've listened, you know, between the stories you've told and what, you know, Vinny's crew had said, and I really tend to agree with the fact that it's a leftover energy that just sticks around once we die. That energy's got to go somewhere. Energy can't be destroyed.
Residual.
So where does it go?
Thing.
Yes. Yeah. And and not getting into religion and spirituality, but I do believe that, you know, there is more to than us just being on Earth here. I think there's more to it. And I want to believe that there's more to it.
Yeah,
so
because we are energy.
Yes.
So and I know when we did the episode with Julia and talked about some of the paranormal stuff, we actually cut it out of that episode because we didn't want it to be
a paranormal episode, which it started to be.
Yeah, it was getting there, and we went off on a tangent.
We went off on a lot of tangents on that episode. We got into UFOs, we got into all kinds of stuff.
But if you don't mind, I'd like to talk about my theory, and I'm just saying this is my theory on a lot of the residual action. We call it action.
I kind of like experiences. You talked about it in an episode a little bit, and I was fascinated by that point. So go ahead, share it. Absolutely.
Because I really think that a lot of the paranormal things that are picked up by, you know, the ghost hunting TV shows and all that, probably 90% of it is all residual stuff because you can't really get a good, you know, definitive answer from some of these experiences, right, as far as, you know, asking questions and getting intelligent answers back or answers that make sense to what they asked. And so that's why I think a lot of it's triggered by the energy that caused it, you know, or that imprinted it into that area or that scene with that house or wherever that this event may have taken place, like a brutal murder, you know, because what a traumatic thing to go through,
right, as
a person, and the energies that come off of that individual on both sides, you know, the person committing the act. I mean, because that's just a lot of rage and, you know, a lot of energy being emitted. and then the person that's on the
receiving
end of that, you know, what they would go through. And that energy does have to go somewhere. And since, then I went into talking about the recording process of, you know, basically it's you're imprinting this onto a magnetic type of a field. It's taking our vocal waves and it's recording them, you know, it's putting them on there. And it's an energy, and it's energy, and it's magnetism, whatever you want to call it.
So that stays there. It's trapped there.
It's there. Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, what material is that all made of? I mean, everything's made of carbon.
Right.
You know, so, you know, even though this is a man-made device here, you know, the earth is still made of the same elements and all that. So why can't that energy imprint itself on what elements are there, especially if it's that high of an energy from such an event, you know? And so I believe that it gets triggered again and again just by people coming to that spot. And that's what they're there for. They're wanting to relive that energy or see what, you know, they're believing that it's haunted or it's because of this event.
Right.
And so with them, you know, their brains, I mean, we all put off an energy. I think the brain in that mode is like hitting the play button on a recorder. And because they're bringing that energy back, it's getting replayed, you know, in a way. But it's not something that they could ask intelligent questions to and get answers from, because it's just replaying. It's just replaying what it recorded.
So to that point, so, you know, we talk about not having intelligent answers, but if you remember back to one of the SLS footages we did.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, but I think it's a lot. It's only maybe 10% of a actual
where it's intelligible.
Where it's intelligible, yeah. You know, where it's an intelligent entity that's actually hanging around.
So I want to play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay, cool.
So, because I'm curious now that you got my mind going. So if that's the case, you think about, and I don't know what the number is, I'd have to Google it, how many people die per day in the world? Okay, it's probably an astronomical amount of people.
Yeah.
How come there's not hauntings everywhere? How come there's not? So that goes back to my point. What I asked in episode 3 was, are only certain people able to experience it? Like, I still couldn't hear anything on the spirit box, you know, other than the SLS being able to physically see something. I don't experience the things. Like, you know, you'll get sick to your stomach. Even back in the jail, when we did the jail, you and Jay and Lindsay, you guys all felt like a heaviness, like, and I don't feel that. So that's kind of my question is, I mean, there's millions of people in the world. There, you know, thousands of people are probably dying every day.
Yeah.
So where is all that energy? I mean, does some energy, you know, if you believe in a heaven or anything like that, do you believe that some of that energy just goes? Thank God it was empty. So I can get that over there. But yeah, so that, I mean, that's my big question is how come there's not more? I mean, we should have, honestly, you know, you just given this land here at one time, I'm sure people have died in this area. There should be spirits everywhere. We should be seeing stuff all the time. It should be constant. How come it's not that way?
Yeah,
that's what I'm curious about.
I mean, that's a really good question,
right?
You know, and I think that would kind of point towards more of a place that people go.
Yeah,
you know, and it's those that are ready to
move on,
and
some people just get.
Some people don't want to move on.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Or there are those cases where someone dies suddenly and they don't realize that they're really gone.
Right.
They're just kind of confused and looking around, you know.
Yeah.
Different types of hauntings. You have a residual haunting.
Oh, okay.
And then you have a poltergeist.
That poltergeist, right?
A poltergeist. And I think the poltergeist type of a haunting, I think, would have to be a restless spirit that's still around. Because they do things that, well, let's say a house is built on some sacred burial ground, you know, like in the movie.
You moved the headstones, but you didn't move the bodies.
Yeah, that type of thing.
that one, yeah,
so,
exactly.
It's all right. Well, then you have things happening inside the house, but if it was a residual type thing going on, then it wouldn't. How could it affect actual items in the house? You know, how could it move a chair? How could it do anything like that? Because it's just replaying what was imprinted into it. Where you know, had to take a poltergeist kind of a spirit.
So that may be the disembodied voice portion of it.
Could be.
Is the replaying, and then the actual poltergeist is the actual activity that you get, door slamming, footsteps, you know, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, could be. I don't know. I don't know any of this crap. I don't know for sure about anything.
But you know, your point's well taken, because you talk about the energy that's residual. So you talk about possessions now. You start talking about evil spirits. You're talking about what did we say in episode 3, which I thought was a fantastic statement. What you are in life, you are in death. Okay, so if there is that negative energy, if somebody was a murderer or somebody was just a bad person or just an evil person in general, can that energy attach itself to somebody and become a possession? You know what I mean? So now that person takes on that energy. Is that what a possession is? I mean, you know, maybe there is no devil, so to speak, but that energy, you attract a certain energy, maybe.
And they were a bad person in life. So So yeah.
So that's kind of fascinating.
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but I accept. I kind of that'll work into my my thinking.
But it's like, if you look at psychology, if you've ever taken psychology, you talk about people who have addictive personalities. Okay, somebody gets addicted to alcohol, somebody gets addicted to drugs. There's no saying that they can't pick up a residual energy that's a negative energy, that's an evil energy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
then it imprints it on them.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So I'm kind of curious if that's how. Do you have any psychologists out there that want to be on our show? I'd really like to get some answers to this.
That'd be fascinating.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by it. I'm curious. I mean, and doing the two investigations that we did were just been fascinating to me, because it's like I'm starting to see things, and it's opening my mind to a lot more. But I want to welcome stuff, and I want to experience more. I want to be able to feel what you guys are feeling, and so yeah.
Well, I think like the experiences that some of my family members had with my mom, you know, after her passing, and us with our frogs and all that. You know, just from the statement my sister said, and I know I mentioned it in your dad's episode, you know, that she had come to one of my sisters and just told her that, you know, it's just love. And so that's just such a positive energy. And I think that's just a nice place to think of going. I think she hung around long enough to let us all know she loved us, and get to know some of her grandkids. There's some other stories in there too that I might as well bring it up.
Yeah, bring it up. Now you piqued my curiosity now.
Well, I was talking about my brother and sister-in-law. They used to live here, where Shay would go over and play on their Xbox and all that. And they're the ones that had the bread fly out of the cupboards and stuff. But she had a lot of visits from my mom. When her and my brother were first married, you know, they lived really close to my parents, and so she got to know my mom probably better than I did. You know, I mean, they were with them for a long time, and those were the grandkids that you know, their children were the grandkids that my parents really got to bond with the most, because they were there, and so there was just such a tight connection. So she would get visited by my mom all the time. Really? She said she'd come to her, and they just had lovely little conversations, and it was in a twilight kind of a state, you know, where she would get these, but it was so real. And so she had come to my sister-in-law this one time, and she said, well, she says, I'm not going to be here for a while. She says, I've got other grandkids, you know, that that I need to see.
Right.
And And so she kind of showed her in that vision, you know, where she was going. And so she described to us that, this is my sister-in-law telling us that my mom had showed her like this big room, and there were tables set up and a lot of people, you know, hanging around, and kids, grandkids, running around this room. And so, I get so emotional to talk about this kind of stuff, though. But my wife's father passed away. It's been 2 years now.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah. And so we didn't have a funeral for him. It was almost 6 months later that we
you all got together, wasn't it?
Yeah, because he died the beginning of the summer, and here in Arizona, it's just too dang hot to expect people to come from out of town. So we waited till October of, I guess it'll be 2 years now, or it'll be 2 years this October. Yeah.
This October, yeah.
Anyway, to have a celebration of life, kind of a get together, you know. So we had all of our family and my grandkids, and Rachel, and, you know, her family came. And so had all my grandkids were here.
Right.
And so when I explained that situation to my sister-in-law, who had heard from my mom, she goes, oh, that was it.
Wow.
You know.
Wow, that's crazy.
So yeah, so she came to my father-in-law's celebration of life, and she was able to spend some time with these grandkids.
So I guess the question is, did anybody have any experiences there?
Well, I don't know. But, you know, kids are funny that way, you know, because they'll see things, but they won't talk about it. They won't talk about it because it's not strange to them.
Right.
You know, so here's grandma. Yeah, cool. You know,
right.
And they're having a grand old time, but who knows? And then I think pretty much that was the end of the visits.
Maybe it was just something she had to do before she could move on.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that's amazing. That's crazy.
Well,
so that's it.
That's it. I'm not ready to go. That's not what you meant.
No.
The episode's over.
The episode's over.
Cool.
Well, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. That's the truth about beer and
Acadia Ranch Paranormal Adventure 1.1.
As far as we know.
Till next time. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to the truth about beer.